So first up, this year's distinguished honorary alumna is Mrs. Jeanne Alsup. After teaching at various schools, other schools around town, Jeanne made the move to Kinkaid in 1983, and where she taught upper school English literature and composition for 31 years, and retired in 2014. While here, she was the English department chair and served in various other roles as well, including chief freshman advisor, honor council faculty representative, cum laude society faculty representative, alumni association faculty representative, and member of the admissions committee, just to name a few. She was also a chaperone on students' trips to China, Greece, Turkey, and Spain during the interim term. Jeanne is an honoree of an endowed academic award at Kinkaid called the Jeanne S. Alsup Award for American Literature Studies, which is conferred on Honor Day each year to the top junior class student in American literature. Jeanne and her husband of 52 years, Al, are spending their retirement in Galveston. They have two children, Trey and Ashley, who both graduated from Kinkaid in '87 and '88, and they have two grandchildren. So now please enjoy the short video about Jeanne and her dedication to teaching.
Some people are really born to do a certain thing, and my mother was born to teach, and she always knew she wanted to be a teacher.
She works so hard. She works so hard all the time. She would stay late and work, and then she would go home and she'd work. And she was also willing to switch curriculum wherever the department needed her.
I still run into people all the time, Kinkaid graduates, that come up to me and recognize me, but they always just want to ask about my mom. They'll be polite and say, how's it going, Trey? What's going on with your life? But what they really want to know is how's my mom doing?
So one thing Ms. Alsup knew about me coming into Kinkaid is that I wasn't sure that I wanted to be here at first, and I had no idea about books like the Iliad or the Odyssey. And so when I first started reading the Odyssey, my question to her was, who are these people? What are these characters? Are they real? And so Ms. Alsup would stay after class and after school at times, simply to go over character analysis and things like that. Ms. Alsup constantly, consistently was always there for whatever my needs were.
I'll never forget the day in class where she asked me to stand up and read a paper I had written out loud to my classmates. It was one of those moments that helped me believe that I had a story to tell and that I could be a good writer.
People remembered Kinkaid students for their writing ability, and friends would comment on that even in college, at how easy it was to sit down and write and how quickly we were able to do it. And I think it was that combination of our English department and our history department that had its own brand, and I think Ms. Alsup had a lot to do with that.
Jeanne was a through and through American lit person. That was her passion. That was what she loved. That was the particular subject of English she really loved. And because of some particularities in the department and some various needs that we had, she gave that up one year. And that was a great example of her selflessness, because she was giving up the thing that she really identified with in terms of being an English teacher.
She taught my father in her first job out of high school, 1967 to 68. She taught him American Lit, and he said it was the first time that he understood that literature could help him, because he remembers Jeanne Alsup reading the opening paragraph of Moby Dick, where it says, "Whenever it's a damp, drizzly November in my soul, I think I account it high time to go to sea." And he had just lost his father a year or two before, and he said, I knew what that meant, like a damp November in my soul. And he spoke about her for my entire life.
What I can say without a doubt is that Jeanne really understood the teenage brain and mind and soul, and she could connect with them, any of them, from so many different points. And she was just so kind, obviously so responsible.
One of the things that I truly, truly appreciate and learned from Ms. Alsup as a teacher is to be warm strict. So to have a warm demeanor and a calm demeanor with students, but also have high expectations, and also expect your students to meet those expectations, and when they don't, to provide support.
She modeled the power of voice and the power of being true to oneself.
A few years ago, I surprisingly got a letter in the mail from Jeanne, and it was a letter of encouragement about a new responsibility I had here at Kinkaid, and I was so surprised and so touched. In life, you always remember your strongest teachers, but you don't think that they remember you, and I was surprised that she did.
And I think this award is really meaningful because it kind of makes her not only a former teacher here, and a great former teacher, but a former student as well. And I think Jeanne would be the first person to say one of the great qualities of teaching, and the reason why we're all so passionate about it, is because we're actually students as well.
Jeanne Alsup, I want to wish you congratulations on an award that you certainly deserve. The job of an English teacher is no less than to teach others what it means to be a human being. And you did that with grace and courtesy, sincerity, nobility, and dignity. And you did it for hundreds and hundreds of students.
So Mom, congratulations. I love you, and thank you for always being my teacher.
Thank you, Kinkaid, for giving this award to my mom. Teaching at Kinkaid has been a huge part of her life, and I know it means so much to her to get it. And having a Kinkaid education has meant a lot to my brother and me as well.
So I wanted to say congratulations, Jeanne, and thank you. And at the end, I just wanted to say a few words from Psalm 23, which I thought I would leave you with, which are, surely goodness and mercy will follow you all the days of your life.
That video definitely brought back a lot of memories for me, as I'm sure for a lot of you here in the room. It gives me great pleasure to welcome to the podium Kinkaid's 2018 Distinguished Honorary Alumna, Mrs. Jeanne Alsup.
Oh, okay. Do I have to hold this
Yeah,
one?
they want to get it.
Oh, she's going to give me something to stand on so you can see me. You're probably not used to seeing me in outfits like this. Thank you, Doug. Thank you to those on the board who honored me with this award, and also to those alumni in the audience, many of whom I recognize as my former students. My former students will know that every year I taught the Odyssey, and I feel a little like Odysseus today, returning home to Kinkaid, older and wiser, having survived life's numerous battles and adventures. However, when Odysseus returned to Ithaca, he was alone. He was much older, with 20 years gone by, 10 in the Trojan War and 10 coming back home, and he was worn out. But he still had a mission to reunite with his wife Penelope and his son Telemachus, and mainly to defeat Penelope's suitors. I too am older and somewhat lonely, missing my students and colleagues. I don't have quite as much energy, but I do have such great memories of teaching. Kinkaid has been a place where I taught, but also a place where I learned, a place for Dante's Divine Comedy and Shakespeare's tragedies. Although it's so good to be back at Kinkaid, coming back is a little tragic. Coming back to Kinkaid reminds me, well, that I'm not here anymore, that my time at the Kinkaid School is really over. I don't have the privilege of teaching just one more class of incoming freshmen, and then watching them grow, literally and figuratively, into the outstanding young men and women that leave here and go into the world as alumni of Kinkaid. I wish I could teach forever. I do. But that's not how life works. Our time here is limited. But that's another reason that I love teaching. A teacher's contribution, hopefully, continues throughout the lives of all the students a teacher has ever taught. And if I've done my job well, then some of the knowledge I've passed on will be taught by the teachers whom I've taught. And they, in turn, will teach another generation of teachers who become teachers themselves. Some of those people do not call themselves teachers, but they are teachers all the same. They are parents and bosses, coaches and counselors and leaders. And it is through the tradition of teacher teaching student who in turn becomes a teacher that I achieve my ultimate goal to become immortal. Well, I'm kidding, mostly. I've made immortality the subject of my life study because I am a teacher of literature. Since 1983, I've been teaching students about writing, about the Bible, and all those wonderful Greek gods and heroes. I could go on forever if I could, teaching about gods and legends. Why? Because they go on forever. At least what they represent, the eternal in us, the very best in us, the immortal. Great literature is in itself immortal. The Great Gatsby will still be great even after you've recycled your iPhone 37. Conrad's Heart of Darkness will eternally guide you up the Congo River, or more importantly, the far more dangerous hallways of corporate America. Literature, unlike we mere mortals, does not grow old. Its lessons do not retire. Homer and Shakespeare and Twain all wrote about the same thing, that what it means to be human, what it means to live, to love, to die, perchance to dream. Parting from Kinkaid is such sweet sorrow. Today I'm here, and tomorrow and tomorrow and tomorrow, some of the teachers whom I've taught will teach the next young Telemachus here at Kinkaid. I came here to join a great cadre of teachers, Shirley Wiley, Callie Law, Don Thames, Barry Moss. Later you might have had Bart Thornton, Armand Arioste, Warren Rawson. Now you have Michelle Miller, Angelique Jamel, Casey Fleming, Krista Forrester, Charlie Scott, Carolyn McCarthy, Jennifer Keller, Tara McDonald Johnson, Tom Payton, Scott Lambert, and Kate Lambert. Oh, Kate, if there be truth in sight, you are my daughter. The English department at Kinkaid has never been in better hands. My work here is done. So to my students, to all of you, for you are all my students, I say go forth. Go forth from Kinkaid and teach what we lucky few, we band of brothers and sisters have taught you. Go forth, you future Odysseus's, you Huck Finns, you Hester Prynnes. I pray I've armed you with the divine gifts of proper grammar, punctuation, and metaphor, that you can navigate the treacherous waters between Scylla and Charybdis of the modern world and reach your own Ithacan shore, and upon those sands triumph with your ability to express yourself with the English language, and then return heroically to tell the tale, perhaps like Odysseus, to our own personal Ithaca here at Kinkaid. Alfred Lord Tennyson, in his poem Ulysses, knew that Odysseus became bored by staying in Ithaca. Of course, we knew that about him. Telemachus ruled the island, Penelope wove on her loom, so Odysseus called his men together, though we know they're all dead, and said, come on guys, let's get out of here. We can't rust unburnished, not to shine in use, as though to breathe were life. We are one equal temper of heroic hearts, made weak by time and fate, but strong in will, to strive, to seek, to find, and not to yield. And it seems that I'm in that stage of my life. In my retirement, I volunteer my time. I live in a lovely beach house on the Galveston Island shore. I read and garden and cook and travel from time to far shores. And I'm currently taking an art course at Rice that says to me, even you can draw. Not true. So adieu. Remember me. I have retired from teaching, but not from learning. And thank you, Kinkaid alums, for remembering me in this special way, with this award dear to my heart. Thank you. no one else will need that.